Are key rooms in Arc Raiders really that bad? The community seems to think so, so I decided to open every key room in the game to truly find the answer. Spoiler alert, there are actually some key rooms that are really decent, but most are pretty terrible. So I'll be breaking down every key room and putting them on a tier list in this video. Starting with Blue Gate, Cellar Key is first. What you'll notice with Cellar Key is it falls into one of the three categories for key rooms that I've noticed. You've either got weapon key rooms, which have a bunch of weapons, med key rooms, which have a bunch of meds, and then sort of like a residential / trinket room. This is the third. So the actual value you could get out of this could be pretty good. Overall, you're mostly just getting some trinkets and meds, right? And coupled tier 2 weapons, right? Like an El Toro, an Osprey, they're all level 2. What you'll notice in this video is the quality of the room seems to be determined by what loot pool it has. And some rooms have loot pools which include level 1 weapons, some have level 2 weapons, and some even have level 3 weapons, which seem to have a higher chance of epic weapons. And those are the best rooms. Stella's okay. I would give it a B tier. It's pretty decent because it's very quick to loot, and it's out of the way of most areas, so you're not going to get in harm's way as much. Overall, you're going to look at about 40,000 in value by doing this room. Next key is Patrol Car. I know there's 2 potential Patrol Car spawns, but it's pretty much the same. You open it and you've got a weapon case inside. That's it. F tier. There's nothing more to it. Next is the Blue Gate Communication Tower Key. Now, this one is basically giving you the same stuff you're getting outside, but with more containers. So we're talking breachable server cabinets if you're looking for processors or sensors and that kind of stuff, cooling fans, wires, etc. You'll also get the typical containers that could lead to residential trinkets or healing items, and the occasional weapon in here as well. Nothing too fancy, but it basically just extends that area. So if you're coming here and you bring the key anyway, it's not terrible. It just takes a while to loot and you're very noisy breaching everything. And that's probably going to attract some attention, as we saw in this clip. That's the problem with these key rooms, is that people tend to PvP you more, even though, for the most part, the loot's basically the same as the rooms outside. In this case, the weapons that we got were just level 1 common and rare weapons, which is pretty bad for a key room standard, so I'm giving this a C tier. Next is the Village Key. This one on Blue Gate really has some pretty low tier items as well. It's just like another village room with more containers, essentially. You do get a couple weapons in here, but they are only level 1 rare and common weapons from my experience. So you're not getting anything crazy here, and you're going to leave the room with like an extra 30 to 40,000 in value, depending on your luck. Another C tier. Next is the Blue Gate Confiscation Room Key. Now this one is a mixture of sort of residential style containers, some breachable server cabinets, some weapon cases, but the overall loot value is basically the same. You're coming out with about 40,000 extra in value again. It's funny that they always end up giving you about the same amount. And the weapons are level 1. I did get lucky with a Tempest this time, but I just want to point something out. Level 1 weapons, that really suggests something about the loot pool. And you'll see in some later keys that we open that there's level 2 and even level 3 weapons that spawn. This is a pretty standard loot pool in my experience, so it's another C tier. There's nothing too crazy special about it. The Buried City Hospital Key is just a really small room with some medical bags and some very typical loot that you'd expect in the hospital, and not much of it. In fact, the red lockers outside of this specific room is better than the room itself. And also, a lot of people get really nosy when you open this door. It's quite a PvP potential hotspot, so for me, it just wasn't worth the effort to even open it in the first place. The loot outside's better. You fill up your backpack with stuff that's not really worth much, so this is D tier for me. The Residential Master Key actually has 3 different potential doors that you can open with it, and the door you open can have different experiences. You can find the exact locations on the metaforge.app map. For me, the first one, which is most unknown, is quite interesting. It's got level 2 weapons in it, so better than all of the other ones that we've seen so far, and overall the loot value is pretty similar besides that, but it also has guaranteed Arc Husks in here, which means if you've got the Arc Husk Trial, this is an underrated spot to boost your score that nobody ever talks about. Pretty interesting. The other Residential Master Key building that I like in Grandioso Apartments is also having level 2 weapon spawns. And from my experience, that usually leads to more epic spawns for weapons. Overall, the loot here isn't bad either. And it has a security breach in, which is nice. Whichever door you open with this key, I'd say it's A tier. The next Berry City key is the Town Hall key. This opens up an entire building for you to loot yourself. I found out that if you put a barricade right on the door, the person outside struggles to even open it, so you can be pretty safe here. At least that happened in my case. The guy outside was like wondering how he couldn't get inside, and I was just as surprised as he was. Either way, really great room because you've got so many containers to loot across many different floors, a security breach, a lot of potential grenade, weapon, and ammo box spawns, and med bags. Overall, this is probably one of the best keys in the game. I'd give it S tier. Overall, the loot you're going to come out with is going to depend on your luck, but definitely better than all of the other keys on most of the maps. Next is Control Tower on Dam. There's a lot of containers in here, both inside and outside. You'll notice that the level of weapons you get in here are usually level 2, which, like I said, is a good suggestion. The overall loot pool is better than the other key rooms, and you do need to get a bit of luck to get some epic weapons. You won't always get them, but overall you're going to come out with quite a little bit more value than most other rooms, and overall the room is pretty decent with a nice variety of stuff. This room gets an A tier for me. Up next is the Surveillance Key in Water Treatment. This one's a nice small room, but it's got some red lockers and usually a weapon case. You get level 2 weapons here, and overall the loot pool seems pretty good. An A tier from me. Next up is Dam Staff Room. The only key in the game to consistently drop level 3 weapons. I don't know why. Level 3 weapons and very often epic tier weapons. This is the only key room in the game to do this, and the loot here is phenomenal. Don't try it in a day raid though, it's not worth it like all of the keys in this game. I have tried, not very good, but for night raids, it's really good. S tier by far. In fact, this key room is different to every other key room in the game, and I feel like every key room should be like this one. Maybe one day they'll change it, but if you have the damn staff room key, hold on to it. It is very worth your time. Next is the damn Testing Annex Key. There's 2 rooms you can use this key for. You need 1 key for each room, similar to the Residential Master Key. The loot inside's pretty mediocre, pretty standard, and similar to the loot that you'd find in this place anyway. No real difference there. So it's a C tier. It just feels like nothing special here. Next, we move on to Spaceport, starting with the Container Storage Key. Not too many containers in here, and you're getting a mixture of level 2 weapons and all sorts of random loot. It's okay. Not the worst, not the best. I'd give it a C tier. Next is the Spaceport Trench Tower Key. There are 2 trench towers. You need 1 key for each, and be careful you don't accidentally leave one tower through the red door. That'll consume another key if you've got a spare on you. I did that, and I ended up using 2 keys for 1 room, which kind of sucks. But they're both pretty similar in terms of loot. There are a lot of containers in here, and you're getting level 2 weapons again, so not the best, but not the worst. You know, we've seen some key rooms with only level 1 weapons. And in terms of actual loot, you're going to be getting the kind of stuff that you might need to craft a bunch of stuff. A lot of advanced mechanical components, electrical components, etc. Not too many residential items, but the overall value is okay. And there's a lot of containers, so it's an A tier. Spaceport Warehouse Key surprised me. It's a small room, but there's a decent amount of containers in here, and you're going to get a mix of attachments and weapons and the typical crafting items. Overall, not the worst room either. I'll give it an A tier because you can come up with a decent amount of stuff without too much faff with looting too many different containers because they're all really compact. Next, we move on to Stella Montis, starting with the Archives Key. This is technically an epic tier key, but it's not that big of a deal. I think the loot here is pretty decent if you're trying to make a little bit of quick money. There's a lot of trinkets and residential spawns here, so that's decent. Quite a decent amount of containers as well, but you're not going to come out with any weapons. However, the overall value is pretty decent in comparison to other rooms. Next is the Assembly Admin Key. Not only can you see other people outside as you're looting who could probably shoot in if they wanted to, the loot in here is pretty terrible. The weapons are level 1 weapons, and the overall loot inside the containers is dreadful. I mean, it's so weird when literally outside you've got the most valuable loot spot in the entire game for making money, and inside you're picking up metal pieces and heat sinks and stuff that you don't really need at this point and don't sell for much. This is the worst room in the game. Honestly, I would give it a D tier only because patrol car is worse, you know? And then we have medical storage key. Can you guess what's in here? A lot of medical items and level 1 items in terms of weapons. Pretty bad, honestly. This one gets a C tier, but it's a nice spot to go and get a bunch of meds if you desperately need them for whatever reason and you're stopping by. And then we have the security checkpoint key. This room is a little weird. If you want a bunch of stuff to craft explosives and weapon parts, it's okay. You're only getting level 1 weapons in here, nothing super rare, but you do get a nice selection of trinkets and weapon parts and explosive crafting parts. It's okay. I'm giving it a B tip because you do actually come out with some useful stuff that you can use for crafting. Next is a Spaceport Control Tower key. You're going to get level 2 weapons here and a variety of residential and server items, you know, processors, sensors, electrical components, that sort of thing. And there's a security breach up here as well. Overall, the loot's not terrible, not the best, but yeah, I'm giving it B tier because there's a nice variety of items and a decent number of containers. Finally, we have the JKV key in Buried City Space Travel Building. This one's a smaller room, has some breachable server cabinets, like usual with most of these rooms, some potential for weapons, and that's pretty much it. Very small room, level 2 weapons, not crazy good, not terrible. I'll give it a C tier. So after looting all of these key rooms, what are my thoughts on key rooms in general? Well, the price of the key is super cheap, so if you've got them, you may as well bring them into a raid, if you're going on a night raid at least. The loot isn't going to be amazing, so there's no point going out of your way to these rooms, but don't just throw them away, because they definitely bring value to your account. Unless we're talking about the Town Hall key on Buried City or the Dam Staff Room key on Dam. These two I would absolutely go out of my way to loot on a night raid because they are really quite good, especially the Dam Staff Room key. It's completely different compared to every other key in the game. Now, what do you think about keys and upgrades? Let me know, and I'll see you all in the comments. Cheerio!